NASCAR has added a lot of different tracks over the years, lots of different areas of the country, and types of tracks as well, whether it's a short track, whether it's turning an old racetrack that we already use into a dirt track, or now street courses are a thing. New road courses itself, but now street courses with a Chicago street course. Could we have another? It's possible. This isn't confirmed. This isn't on the schedule, but the fact that it's been brought up is pretty interesting in my opinion, so we're going to talk about it. If you are not aware, next year Formula One will be going to Las Vegas for the Las Vegas Grand Prix. It will be a street race in Las Vegas on the Las Vegas Strip, and it was mentioned by the president of the Las Vegas Conventions and Visitors Authority president, Steve Hill. He had something, and Adam Stern reported on it, so let's read the report. Vegas, being the Las Vegas Convention of whatever I just said, Conventions and Visitors Authority, the president and CEO, Steve Hill, thinks that there's the possibility to host a future NASCAR street race on the Strip, among other events, if F1 at Las Vegas goes well. I think that would be something that everyone involved would at least have some interest in discussing. So obviously he did not say, oh yeah, this is happening, or, if Vegas F1 is a success, it's 100% happening. He never said 100%, but the fact that it's being talked about is interesting. As I said, a street course has been added to the Cup Series schedule with Chicago. It's an interesting layout. It'll be interesting to see how it goes. I don't know how it'll go, but I think how the Chicago street course race goes could be important to the future of NASCAR on street courses. It's a weird design. I'm curious to see how it races. I'm not going to judge it until the racing actually happens, but it's an interesting design for sure. But, if that goes well, what will NASCAR do? Will they look for more street courses? What will they do? And then also you'd think about the future of Las Vegas and NASCAR. The current status is NASCAR in Las Vegas has 2 dates at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. One at the beginning of the year in March, one in the playoffs in October, which is now a very critical race because if you win that race, you make it to the Championship 4. We saw it this year. The guy who won at Las Vegas and locked himself into the Championship 4, and he went on to win the championship, that was Joey Logano. So 2 Las Vegas dates, and also with the new car, Las Vegas has been a very fun track. Both races in the next-gen cars were amazing. Great racing, fun stuff. It wasn't crash fest. It wasn't ugly. It was genuinely great racing. That Kyle Busch versus Martin Truex Jr. battle in the spring for the win before the caution, and then the Bowman versus Larson 2-lap shootout for the win, that was really fun. And then in the fall, we saw Joey Logano chasing down Ross Chastain in the final laps. Both drivers are extremely aggressive drivers, and they pushed to the limit. Ross Chastain threw some blocks. Logano had to be a little bit defensive. He couldn't afford a mistake, and he had the better car, and he went on and won. So we've had some great racing at Las Vegas this year with the next-gen car. Do we really want to lose a date of Las Vegas Motor Speedway? That is a point that's going to have to be discussed. Do you drop one of the Vegas Motor Speedway dates for the Strip, or do you keep both and add the road course? So there's a lot of questions that have to be answered here. Those who are curious, I'm sure you're probably, if you have not paid attention to the F1 side of things, you're probably wondering, what does this track look like? Well, I got a picture for you guys, so here you go. Here is the track. It is a 3.8-mile track. It's got, I believe, the original rendering has 14 corners, but I think they made some adjustments, so I think it's 17 corners now. So yeah, you can see there the first area of the track, so the front stretch, the little front stretch area, 1, 2, 3, 4 is going to be in what's now a abandoned parking lot. They're going to turn that into a full-blown F1 paddock. They're going to turn it into a fan zone or whatever. And for F1, if you got hundreds of thousands of dollars, you can go to the race and go do that. If you don't, well, you can't really get down there. The F1 race is going to be really expensive no matter where you go. It's going to be insanely expensive. Sorry, it sucks. I know. I wish it was different, but it's not. Anyways, and then you got that back stretch through a street, and then you go around the little global, the MSG sphere, and you're going to have a little circle around, then you got a little chicane. You go around a couple of casinos, and then you go down the front straight, or the back, I guess that's technically the back straight, and that is at the actual Las Vegas Strip. You technically have a turn. It's more like a kink. It's kind of like Road America, the turn, what is that, turn 3, turn 4 kink. You got that there, and then you go into a chicane, and then you go back to the front stretch. So it's a unique track. I think the most interesting thing would be the long straightaway, honestly. I mean, if we look at NASCAR today, we look at the road courses we have, some of the most passes that happen are on the long straightaways. COTA, look at the Circuit of the Americas, turn 12, that long back straightaway at COTA, we see a lot of passes happen there, whether it's lap 1 or if it's lap, how many laps do we run there? 60? Lap 60, however many laps are going to be run there. We see a lot of passes happen there. You look at Watkins Glen coming up through the S's down to the bus stop chicane. We see a lot of passes into that chicane happen. We see a lot of passes go from the carousel down into turn 6. We see a lot of passes there on that long straightaway. So I think that the long straightaway could prove to be for some pretty good racing. It could be pretty interesting. You're coming out of a slow left-handed turn into this long straightaway, and then it's a heavy braking zone into that chicane. I don't know if you can run side by side into that chicane. I don't know how tight it's going to be, but it could be interesting for sure. And then turn 1, I mean, turn 5, you got some passing zones for sure. I don't know how it's going to race with F1. I don't know how it's going to race with NASCAR. I really don't. But I think it's an interesting idea. Am I 100% sold on it for NASCAR? Not exactly. I think NASCAR, I said this months ago when I did my perfect ideal NASCAR schedule, I said Las Vegas Motor Speedway should have the championship race for NASCAR. They should have the championship weekend. It's a destination spot. People go there for vacation, for fun. NASCAR's already had the championship out on the West Coast, so you can't use that as an excuse. And it's a track that's had great racing this year. With this new car, I think it's a great location for the championship race. But as for the street course, the strip itself, I don't know. I think it's an interesting idea. I don't think we should pull the trigger for NASCAR. I don't think we should pull the trigger on this quickly, next couple of years. But if F1 is successful, if they have a really good race, this first year they're going to have good turnout. Doesn't matter how much the tickets are. People who have lots of money are going to do their best to get to this race if they want to. Some people may set aside a budget to go to the race, whatever it may be. But I think this first race is going to be a success in terms of fan turnout, viewership. It's going to be a Saturday night, which is weird, like 10 p.m. Vegas time, which means midnight Central Time, 1 a.m. Eastern, because they're trying to appeal to the rest of the world. NASCAR, you don't have to do that. You just have to appeal to the United States. That's the majority of your viewers. So if you want it to be a night race on the West Coast, it's going to be difficult for sure because, the East Coast, you got a lot of Southeast fans in Alabama, Georgia, Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina. That is a lot of your fan base, so you're going to have to base the start time off them. But what if they did a Saturday night race for NASCAR? I'm not saying you got to start at 10 p.m., no. But, you could do a potential 8, 9 o'clock start on the East Coast and still get the full race in. How many laps do you do? I don't know. But it's definitely an interesting thought. I don't know how it would go. I don't know how many people would show up, but it could be interesting. There's been renders of the racetrack. There's been renders of the stands. They would put some on the strip itself. They would obviously have that paddock area in the front part of the track. I don't know where else they're putting stands. I don't know how they're going to close down the strip. Like, you just going to kick people off? They can't go to the casinos and restaurants during the race? Like, how does that work? I don't know, but if NASCAR goes there, it could be interesting. I don't know how it would race, but it'd be an interesting thought for sure. Obviously, NASCAR has very much changed in terms of the racetracks they go to. As I said, we put dirt on Bristol. They've put a Chicago street course on the schedule. We've got a lot of road courses. I don't want to be overtaken by road courses in NASCAR, no, but it's an interesting option. You look at the road courses now. Watkins Glen and Sonoma, those are the originals. You got to keep those. The Roval is a new classic. You got to keep that. I personally really like COTA. I think both races there have been really good. Road America's not on the schedule anymore, and the races there were meh, if we're being honest. So that's a toss-up. I know people really like that track. The fan turnout's great. And then the other ones, you've got the Indianapolis road course. Honestly, I think they'll be going back to the oval within the next few years, if not alternating. So maybe one of those years that you alternate and you have the oval, you go to the Las Vegas road course that year. And then the other road courses we have, I feel like I'm forgetting one. We've got the Roval, we've got Indianapolis, Watkins Glen, Sonoma, Coda, Chicago Street Course. So those are our road courses currently. I think 6 is the most that we should see on the schedule. One year we had 7, but that was kind of COVID, and we had to put the Daytona road course on the schedule because Fontana couldn't go. But, you know, there's a lot of changes to the schedule. I really think we're getting closer to one track. Each track gets one date, except for like Daytona, Talladega, Bristol, Martinsville, Darlington. I really feel like we're reaching that because you look at the past few years. Michigan has lost a date. Dover has lost a date. Texas is now losing a date. Who else used to have 2 dates? I mean, there's a lot of tracks that used to have 2 dates that have lost dates. And there's some tracks that currently have 2 dates that are in jeopardy of losing a date for these new types of racetrack. Could this be one of them? I don't know. Anyways, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, like, and all that stuff. I don't know what the schedule is for the rest of the week, to be brutally honest with you. But whatever news happens. I'll try to keep you updated, whatever it may be. I'm currently not back at my normal place. I don't have my normal setup. That's why the light kind of sucks. So sorry about that. But have a great rest of your day. Have a great Thanksgiving to everyone. And watch some football or soccer or whatever you want to watch. The World Cup's happening. That's a thing. And yeah, we'll see you later.